The day Ifunanya had Jaron, she was overwhelmed with joy. After 10 long years of struggling with infertility and deep sorrow, she finally became a mother. For so long, her womb had been silent, and the mocking whispers of her in-laws about her barrenness had stung deeply. But now, her silence was broken. Her heart swelled with love and pride as she cradled Jaron, her miracle. Her mother-in-law, Mama Neka, had always taunted her for being childless, but now, Ifunanya had the sweetest revenge, her arms full of her child, who was adored by all. Jaron wasn't just a child, he was the answer to all her prayers, her hope, her joy. When Ifunanya brought Jaron home from the hospital, she gathered her helpers and gave them a warning. Listen to me. I love my son more than anything in the world. Be careful with him, respect him, and do not raise your hand against him. You'll never have a second chance like this. Her voice was firm, her gaze intense. Her words were not a suggestion, they were a command. No one could treat Jaron any less than the treasure she believed him to be. As Jaron grew, Ifunanya's love for him deepened, and so did her obsession. Jaron became her world, and nothing else seemed to matter. When he was a baby, she would feed him, bathe him, and even sing to him for hours. It was just the two of them, locked in a bond that felt unbreakable. But soon, that bond grew too strong. Jaron's father, Obina, had to work long hours to provide for the family, and although he loved his son dearly, he was slowly becoming a stranger to him. But Ifunanya didn't see the danger of it. She couldn't see it, not when she was so captivated by Jaron's love for her. At 3 years old, Jaron would refuse to play with other children. When his friends came to visit, he would cry, cling to Ifunanya, and demand that she send them away. She would always give in. You're my baby, Jaron. Don't worry, you don't need them. Mama is here for you, she would whisper, her voice laced with affection. Her heart would ache at the thought of Jaron ever feeling neglected or alone. She wasn't going to let anyone come between them. Not even Obina, who had started to voice concerns. You're spoiling him, Ifunanya. He can't be your baby forever. He's growing up, and you have to let him, Obina would say, his voice full of worry. But Ifunanya would laugh it off. Let him be a child for as long as he needs, Obina. Why rush it? He loves me, and I love him. That's all that matters. Obina's frustration grew, but Ifunanya refused to see it. As Jaron entered his teens, his attachment to Ifunanya grew even stronger, and so did her control over him. He was no longer a small child, but to Ifunanya, he was still her baby, a reflection of her dreams, her pride. When Jaron was 15, he began to show signs of anger and possessiveness that were unsettling. He would glare at anyone who looked at Ifunanya too long. When their neighbor, Mr. Kolu, complimented her at a family gathering, Jaron's eyes darkened with jealousy. He's just being kind, Ifunanya tried to reassure him, but Jaron's mood didn't lift. Later that night, when Jaron was alone with his mother in the garden, he said, Mama, why does everyone look at you? Why do they want you? Ifunanya chuckled, brushing his hair back. Oh Jaron, they don't want me. I'm just your mother. But Jaron shook his head, his eyes filled with a strange, intense emotion. No. I want you, Mama. You're all I need. The words sent a cold shiver down her spine. But she brushed it off as just a teenage phase, never fully realizing the depth of his attachment. Soon, his behavior became more erratic. At school, he got into constant fights with other boys, especially those who showed interest in his mother. His teachers called Obina, but Jaron always denied everything, blaming others for making him angry. He doesn't need anyone except me, Ifunanya would say. He's sensitive, and you don't understand him. One afternoon, when Ifunanya returned home after a shopping trip, she found Jaron standing in her bedroom, holding her old diary. His face was pale, his lips trembling. Jaron, what are you doing? She asked, her heart sinking. Jaron didn't answer. He looked at the diary, then at his mother, and whispered, Mama, what is this? A sudden chill ran through Ifunanya. She could see the confusion and pain in his eyes. She walked over to him, gently taking the diary from his hands. Nothing, Jaron. It's just something from a long time ago, she said, forcing a smile. But Jaron wasn't convinced. No, Mama. I need to know. What's going on? Before Ifunanya could stop him, he flipped open the diary. Her words from years ago, when she had written about her deep fears of losing him, stared back at her. She had written, If Jaron ever leaves me, I will not survive. He is my reason for living. Jaron turned to her with a look of pain. You need me this much. You're afraid of losing me. His voice cracked, but his eyes were wild with something darker now. But you don't understand, Mama. I can't let anyone take you from me. Ifunanya's heart hammered in her chest. Jaron, what are you talking about? She asked, panic rising in her throat. Jaron suddenly grabbed her hand, holding it tight. I love you more than anyone, Mama. More than Papa. I can't let him have you. I won't let anyone take you away. The words hit Ifunanya like a slap. She backed away, her mind racing. This wasn't just a face. This wasn't just a son's love for his mother. There was something deeply wrong. Her mind raced, but no matter how hard she tried to deny it, she couldn't escape the truth. Her love for him had twisted, had become something darker, something dangerous. The next few days were filled with a silence that felt like a storm brewing. Ifunanya tried to talk to Jaron, tried to understand what had happened, but each time she looked at him, she saw the stranger in his eyes, a stranger who no longer saw her as his mother but as his only possession. Obina noticed the shift too. Ifunanya, this has gone too far. We've let this go on for too long.